Welcome to Talk of the Town, everyone. It's May. We want Old Man Winter to know he's overstayed his welcome this year.
And we want to encourage the sun to come out, so we're ready.
We also want to wish all the moms out there, especially ours, a Happy Mother's Day!
We're going to catch up with our moms a little later for a special tea party.
Chocolate and wine come together in a cookie. Oh yeah, you don't want to miss it.
A do-it-yourself craft that gets a little messy, but will help you celebrate the red, white, and blue.
We are all ready, more than ready for sunshine and flowers, so we find the perfect place to plant some summer bulbs.
Computers, genealogy, and great coffee. Of course, we're talking about visiting a library.
This month, we do all of those things, but first, fashion for a great cause.
It's called Martinis and Manicures. Hundreds turn out every spring for the annual fashion event.
This spring, get ready for lots of pink,
among the other fashion trends, and the event is all about empowerment.
We started with the Girls' Night Out 10 years ago. It has grown tremendously. We always did it with martinis and manicures mixed.
All that money goes to women's resources, and the great thing about this money tonight that we're raising, it's all unrestricted funds, which means we can use that money as needed, as we see fit.
We operate a 24-hour hotline, and we also operate a shelter for women and children. We do serve men, women, and children, but our focus is on women and children.
The Martinis and Manicures fashion show features the latest styles from two Stroudsburg boutiques, the Apple Tree and Dunkelbergers for women.
You're going to see lots of color. You're going to see cropped jeans. You're going to see a lot of shoulder. You're going to see some ladies having a really good time on the runway, all for a very good cause.
A lot of beautiful feminine colors, first of all. There's a lot of florals, and they're doing the florals this year in brights and pastels and mixing them together. They're just beautiful. They complement every woman's skin tone.
More than 24 ladies from across the Poconos volunteered as models for women's resources. Of course, Marie and I couldn't wait to dance our way down the runway.
Here comes Kim. I don't think she's going to work in this. I think she's going to the beach. But she's wearing pink pom-pom shorts. You know, that blush color in pink is really the color of the season. With her floppy hat and her nautical t-shirt and her beach bag. And she's wearing statement earrings, though I don't know if she's going to wear those into the ocean. Oh my, look at Marie Johns. Oh my gosh, she is the picture of spring in beautiful fuchsia. And she has those great print pants on that are really the talk of spring. And she is accessorizing it with her great bag. She's ready for the city, ready for the beach, or just a night out with her family.
In its 10 years of fashion shows, the Martinis and Manicures event has raised thousands of dollars to empower victims of abuse.
They know how to help you help yourself, become empowered to do something about your life, and put you with the right resources, because it's all our programs are empowerment based. And they, even if you have not left your abuser, they will help you figure out a way to plan to leave and also plan for where you're going to go next or what's going to happen. And believe me when I tell you, there's oftentimes we buy bus tickets and plane tickets for people to leave the area. And they'll call our 24-hour hotline, and the most critical thing for everyone to know is it's totally confidential. And once again, we have Kim coming out in all these bright florals that Nicole Miller put together in this incredible dress, that the colors are just fabulous with that blush pink and the bright greens. And of course, Kim looks sensational in it. And she has it accessorized with multicolor stone bracelets and sparkly earrings that all of us girls love to wear. And here we have Marie again. And I don't know if anybody has seen these colors out there, but they really are right off the runways for couture designers. The neons and the brights, and she's featuring one of those beautiful new statement earrings that you see on everyone on TV, and we even see it at Talk of the Town. When the culture is changing and the dialogue is changing, it means that people aren't going to put up with it anymore. And there are hotline rings all the time. Our shelter is full all the time. And we're very blessed because through our donations, we've been able to stay operationally sound even when Pennsylvania was in a budget crisis. So because our community is generous and they know our work, because it can touch anyone.
This month's cooking segment is all about some of our favorite things,
Like chocolate.
and wine.
Well, why not? No.
We're at Sweet Whining Desserts, and Jennifer White is going to make a wonderful dish with us. What are we making?
We are making a double dark chocolate Merlot cookie.
Yum! We liked the way this looked on your website when we looked at it. And we were so hoping you'd say this is what we were going to make.
So how do we get started?
Usually with cookies, the way you put the ingredients in doesn't quite matter as much as if you were doing a cake. But usually I like to start off with the butter and the sugar.
Okay.
So we have our sugar already measured out there, and we have our mixer back here. So if you'd like to pour, that's about 2 cups or so of sugar.
Okay.
Then we have 2.5 sticks of butter.
That's a lot of butter.
It is. That's what makes it so yummy besides the wine.
Yes, it is. Very true.
My dad cooked a lot with wine. My entire family always liked to partake in having wine. And when I started to bake and I wanted to do something a little different, I thought, oh, well, why not add wine to it? I mean, wine is grapes. So I thought, well, we'll just kind of take the alcohol out because alcohol kind of dries up baked goods and it kind of leaves a funny flavor. So I thought, well, let me reduce the wine out and, you know, go with the flavor of the different grapes that are there. And I started adding them to the different wines, and wine with chocolate is fabulous. So then we usually blend this a little bit, start it on low so it doesn't splatter everywhere. So I started off actually with cupcakes. That was what I originally did. I put a little bit of the wine in a cupcake, and then I added a little bit in the icing, which kind of flavored it up. Then I went from cupcakes to brownies, which of course it's everybody's favorite dessert is brownies. And then I moved on to cookies, to truffles. I make cobblers. I even do wedding cakes. I even dive into breads, you know, zucchini breads, banana breads, pumpkin breads. And I add different flavors of wine depending on what flavor it has and if what wine will complement it. Then what I like to do next is I like to incorporate the dry ingredients in here. Okay. Usually the flour.
Okay. What do we have, 2 cups of flour there?
About 2.25 cups of flour or so.
Okay.
Then the next thing, I like to mix the chocolate, the cocoa powder. We kind of pour it into the cup first. And I usually do it over my bowl because cocoa powder tends to make a mess, and I'd rather add a little more into the ingredients than onto my counter.
Cloud lands in the bowl as opposed to on the counter and the floor.
Yep. There's the one thing, all my friends will know that anytime they tell me that they use anything but real butter,
you say, what?
I'm like, really? That's awesome.
That's awesome. And she'll say it with a smile. That's awesome.
Yeah, that must taste wonderful.
Yeah. That's why people come to me for the cookies.
What I like to do is I like to mix the dry ingredients up together a little bit, because the cocoa powder and the flour, you don't want to have chunks of it throughout your cookies.
Yeah.
So it's a lot better if you just kind of mix it up a little bit.
Mix it a little.
Yeah, like that. I usually crack the eggs in a bowl first.
That way,
so
in
this
case
way,
there's shell, you see it.
exactly, you
and
could
can
take
get
out
it
the
out.
shell. Yep.
You're a chicken.
No, I've just learned.
Smart. That's
There has
what
been
you
many
are.
times I've sat there in the bowl trying to pull out the.
pull out the little piece of
yeah.
shell.
Yeah,
And you don't want to chew on one.
Oh no, definitely not.
Okay.
So we could turn this back on again and slowly drop in your eggs. Almost anything white or fruity, or like a muscata or a Pinot Grigio, they have a lighter flavor and they blend well with the vanilla. The chocolate has a more intense flavor, so you go for more of a red wine, like the port wines or a Merlot. Merlot goes fantastic with dark chocolate. We can measure out our Merlot syrup.
Tell us what Merlot syrup is.
Basically, it's just Merlot that has been reduced, all the alcohol has been taken out of it.
So how long does it, you said, to get, what is this, a cup in here?
There's probably about a cup or so in there, yeah.
Did that start out as 2 cups and you just cooked it
Yeah.
down till
Yeah.
enough of the water was removed?
Yep, I do have the alcohol content strips that I can measure to make sure there is absolutely no alcohol in them.
You're not feeding these
Exactly.
wine cakes to children.
yeah.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I do
Yes,
get a lot of questions. I get
Right.
alcoholics that ask me if there's any wine in them.
For sure.
And for children too, because nobody, really wants to go, oh, here, honey, have a nice dark Merlot cookie and, send somebody off into a,
So the point
binge.
is,
But-
although it's wine, you've cooked off all the alcohol and the alcohol is gone.
Yep.
You're back to the juice that made the wine in the first place.
Exactly, but it's a fermented grape now.
Yes,
So it does
has a
have a
good
slightly
flavor.
different taste versus what the juice would have done originally, or the grape. Now, very slowly while I'm adding this, if you can add that, just a little bit at a time. Now I have about 1.5 bags of chips over there, if you would like to add those.
Yep. Super chocolatey.
Okay.
Not gonna lie, if I was making this at home, I would still be eating. But we're gonna behave. At least while Zach is watching.
Now that we have it all mixed, now we use scoopers because that makes it a nice uniform size to do
Okay.
your cookies. So you just get a nice scoop up the side. And I use parchment paper on my cookie sheets because it's a lot easier
The cleanup.
to clean up, definitely. And also it prevents a lot of sticking. It prevents the cookie sometimes from actually running. You know how sometimes you'll have cookies that will actually spread?
Yeah.
If you use parchment paper, it'll actually stop it from doing that.
Really? I never knew that.
Yep.
So just 4 there. We just ruined our pattern. That's okay.
I don't think we did that very well.
We have 5, 4, 5. But
it allows
it's the
for
big ones.
spreadage.
Yeah, it's the big ones versus the little ones.
Yep.
I'd say you could help me, but my tray's going really well.
We'll leave you alone over there.
Now in the oven
right.
at 375.
In the oven at 375.
I got a little bit on my finger.
Well, you could.
By accident, right?
I'm going to be honest with you. That was really good. It was by accident because if it was on purpose, it would have been way more than a little bit. All right, so let's stick them in the oven.
We can put yours in here,
Okay.
and we'll stick the other one in the other oven. The convenience of 2 ovens. I love it.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure. Moment of truth.
If I can get them out without crushing them.
They look pretty yummy.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll stick them over here to cool for the moment.
Cool off a little bit. And I hear our other oven
Other
beeping.
ovens going off.
Perfect timing.
Here's to wine and cookies.
Chocolate cookies.
Wow.
Very rich.
Delicious.
And they go together so well.
delicious cookies. A big thanks to Jennifer White for inviting us into the sweet whining dessert kitchen.
Jennifer wants you to enjoy some of her many treats as well. Head to our Facebook page and like the correct photo and let us know your favorite wine for a chance to win a $25 gift card to Sweet Whining Desserts. Good luck.
Next, we celebrate Mother's Day with our moms, and they have some stories and some advice for us. May is all about moms.
Well, we're both moms, but we thought it would be fun to introduce you to our moms. My mom, Kay, has been on the show before. She's taught us all about gardening.
My mom, Carol, lives in Texas, so when she decided to come for a visit, we thought this is the perfect opportunity for a tea party.
So, Kim, you and I have known each other for almost 30 years, but our moms here knew each other before we knew each other.
That's right. And so how did you guys meet?
Well, almost 40 years ago, prior to the nursery business, we owned the honey business, and we had a honey stand at the Pocono Antique Bazaar. I was the honey lady. Your mom was the antique lady.
And we had a lot of fun. It was supposed to be work, but it was more like fun.
Yeah.
And you could find anything you wanted at that antique bazaar. It was amazing.
You made a lot of friends there, too. You got to know a lot of the vendors, and that's how you guys got to really know each other, spending
Right,
a
yeah.
lot of time together.
When you weren't busy, you would walk around.
Yeah. Do you know that it is now a grocery store?
I didn't.
It's not, and it's sad when they tore it down and put up the grocery store. I was actually sad because that was like, you know, history.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, and you can't get apple crisp anymore. That was my favorite thing.
I remember driving up there on a Saturday morning, and the traffic was horrendous.
Yeah, I remember that too, yeah.
Horrendous.
And well, before we had a stand inside, because you guys had your stands right on the same aisle, just you were on the end and we were down in that aisle. But before that, we used to have to set up outside where it was a free-for-all for the spots. And I would sometimes leave when it was dark outside to get my truck up there and get a spot so that we had a good spot, because you didn't want to be there in not a good spot.
Well, and I remember leaving early, and if you didn't get there before 8 a.m., you were out of luck. But I remember learning all the back roads to avoid 209 to come out and get to the flea market.
Yeah.
Who would like some tea?
Me too.
So we've been doing this show for a while now, and every month, and I know the same thing happens for you, I get the call. When's my
DVD coming? When do I get to see the show?
Yes. Did you wear lipstick?
Carol, I've been even told about this out in the field, that sometimes that's your thing with us, right?
Yes.
So tell us about it. And when did it first bother you?
Well, you're both so pretty. And when you're on air, you always look gorgeous. And sometimes, though, you are so into your job that you forget to put lipstick on.
Or it needs to be a little brighter or a little darker?
Well, I don't know. I just saw it's lipstick.
It is very important. So we have to tell you that a lot of times in our shoots, when we are out there, Kim will look at me and I'll look at her and say, for my mom.
Lipstick good, lipstick good, yeah.
We're good.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I'm
we
glad
did.
I had an impact on you.
What about you, Mom? You've watched all the shows too. Is there anything that steps out, like jumps out to you?
I just never cease to be amazed by the diversity of what you do, and that you're game for anything, that you'll try anything, and it's just so much fun to watch you. I imagine it's even more fun doing it.
Do you doubt that we would try anything?
No.
I don't doubt it. She's been a daredevil since she was 3 years old. She got on her brother's bicycle, which was bigger than she was, and was trying to ride it. And she did get it to go a little ways until she fell.
Yeah, I've always been the one doing crazy things. And I think we try and look at what the possibilities are for segments and then go, yeah, we've never tried that. And that moves up to the top of the list.
Really?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. We've never tried it before. That's definitely something we always are game for. And we're not afraid to fail, as you see.
So, Kay, did you know she was going to go into TV when she was younger?
Well, our first indication was on her first birthday. We had
long time ago.
When she was one?
When she was one, we had a very large party. We lived down in New Jersey at the time, and as the guests were starting to arrive, Marie commenced to get out her stack of golden books, put them in the middle of the floor, climbed up on top of them, and sang and danced for everybody. That was after she greeted
Showbiz.
everybody at the door. So it was, and she was one. It was unbelievable, and we knew right then. So from then on, by the time she was 4, she was in dancing school and danced a lot, well, nationally in national competitions. And then by the time she was 7, she was in acting school. And TV was just a natural second major. She was a theater major in college as well as radio television, which was a great combination.
When you were young, I had no idea where you were going to wind up.
Or if she was going
down
to live or live through the daredevil stunts.
She tried everything, and she was so good at most things that she did. I mean, she was a competitor in the Junior Miss pageant, and
That was in high school.
So was Marie.
she was a
Marie was
ski
too.
instructor. Camelback, was it? That you
I was in Camelback, yep.
that she taught little kids how to ski, and then she was on the track team, and she was a cheerleader since she was in, I guess, middle school. You may be a great skier, but you don't do too well on a sled.
I think this is the broken leg story. Am I remembering right?
I did have a broken leg, and I had a cast that went all the way up to here.
Because you crashed into a tree on your sled?
Absolutely. And her brother pulled her on the sled back up to the house.
With a broken leg.
With the broken
I
leg.
brought my sister.
You know what? And what's funny, and I remember it was awful because I was like a freshman in high school. So you're a freshman and then you were on crutches. But I remember when I broke my leg, the first thing that they want to do at the hospital is cut your pants off. And at the time, I saved all my money and bought a pair of Gloria Vanderbilt jeans. Like, that took a long time.
That and the Jordache jeans at the same time.
They were big.
Yes.
And I remember, I don't know how much they cost at the time, but it was a fortune. And I remember
Like $30.
You probably. I don't know. But I'm like, you are not cutting off these pants. They're like, well, you're like, I'm like, I will get them off. And I did.
I bet you did. Right?
How could I know that she'd wind up on television?
Well, and now we both do sports.
Yeah.
You know, like our older selves have now become tennis players.
Yeah.
I blame Marie that my house is never clean.
I told you. I warned you. Because tennis is always more fun than to clean your house.
To clean your house.
Absolutely.
So the house can get dirty, but you'll find me on a tennis court, and it's her fault.
And that's where I am too.
Yeah.
And my house is also just as dirty. So don't worry.
I really think that with Marie, all of the dancing and theater gave her so much confidence. That was a really big confidence. Because she acted from the time she was 7 all the way through high school, college, after college, and always on stage. And I think that just gave her the confidence for on air, and I think it carries over.
Well, I think that we both had great moms who taught us great things when we were little and how to be real people and how to, I think both of us go into situations when we meet new people, we always treat people the way we want to be treated, and that comes from you guys. So
Yeah, kindness.
thank you from
Yeah.
the bottom of our hearts. That I think that was one of the most important lessons that you taught us.
My grandmother taught me, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And that's an old saying. But what she also taught me is, even if you are not happy with the circumstances you're in, be kind. And that will help you through whatever it is that you're doing. And I've always taught the children that. So
That's your mom, but that sounded like my mom. Because she said the same thing.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy Mother's Day. Well, it's the time of year you pull out the red, white, and blue and get ready for Memorial Day, especially if you're having a party.
That's right. I like to decorate red, white, and blue Memorial Day all summer long through the 4th of July, Labor Day, and then it makes it easy because you spend a lot of time outside, not just in your house this time of year.
That's right, and we've got a craft that's not real expensive, and it involves balloons and yarn. So how hard can it be?
Balloons and yarn, we have a little bit of glue, and string lights. We're going to make some patriotic string lights, right?
So the first thing we have to do is blow up some balloons, and they can't be real big. I think what we read said keep them about 4 inches or so.
Yeah.
I'm not a great balloon blower upper. It's gonna take me
She
a
has
little
no
while.
cheek strength. No cheek strength.
This one's hard. I'm trying a different one.
I have a feeling I'm going to be doing a lot of this part. All right, well, how about you take a break and put mine in the basket?
I'm literally having trouble blowing up any balloons.
I don't want you to strain your cheeks.
Amen. It only took me 3 tries to blow up a balloon.
Zach, are you keeping track of how many I've blown up?
Versus how many I've blown up.
Yeah.
Well, clearly you're going twice as fast as me. I'll give you that. You know, Marie, some people would say you just have a lot more hot air than me.
Maybe.
We have 30 balloons all blown up. That should be enough for both of us to have a string.
That's right. Next, we are going to get out the Vaseline because before we make our colorful red, white, and blue string around them, we have to make sure it's not going to stick.
Okay.
So we're going to, this is the messy part,
Grease up the balloons.
grease the balloons.
It's kind of a good idea though when you think about it, because when you pop the balloons eventually and you have the string, you don't want them
To stick.
collapsing. Yeah, because they've stuck to the balloon. All right, now it's time for our glue mixture. And this is just, I'm gonna call it Elmer's glue, but that's just because that's the only name I know of just
Plain
basic
old white glue.
white
And
glue
we're
that
just-
dries clear.
We're just going to mix it with water.
Yep, 2 parts of glue and 1 part of water. That's what it says. So,
More glue than water.
so we did 32 ounces of glue and 16 of water. Now's when we get messy.
Now's when we get a little messy.
Okay, so we have red, white, and blue yarn. Mine's the real like bright red, but you opted for a little more.
Country-ish kind of, because that's the colors that I have in my house. All right, and what did we decide? Now this is all, we decided
It's
just to
guessing.
kind of guess. And I'll start with red. What are you going to start with?
I'm gonna start with the blue.
And what did we say? 3 to 4
Arm lengths.
arm lengths for each.
String.
So we need to measure and not pop each other in the nose.
I already got a knot, so this is where it's getting cut.
And I don't know, I think I'm going to want to tie this on my balloon first before I dip it in and get it all gunky.
Oh,
And then we just dunk.
dunk the glue. Ew.
I might just work out of here too.
Yeah, might be safer.
And then we're just going to wind around the balloon
Any direction you want.
any direction you want. And I guess probably varying your directions is what's going to make it look more interesting.
Yep.
But it's slippery.
What a tangled web we weave when we try and make a craft for TV. Oh, good. I think I saved myself from disaster.
Did you?
Maybe. All right. Well, I have one done. I feel like it could maybe have had a little more string, but that's what we're going to go with. It doesn't have to be perfect. And here's the key. Oh, that's a mess you got there.
Yeah.
So it might just be easier, string through and put it up. I feel like that's a smarter thing to do. All right, this is going to be
We're going to learn as we
sticky.
go.
Yes, we are
Yeah.
going to learn as we go. And what we did, which was actually very smart, we have,
We are very smart.
yes, we are. We have a
Sometimes.
string suspended with clothespins because this has to dry for 48 hours.
And I'm still working on my knots here, so I'm not sure I'm doing the next one like this. I think we have to come up with a better plan.
So for everybody at home, have we convinced you to try this? Or
Or
have we
say, oh my gosh, what a mess.
Never! I will never do this again. Whatever. Doesn't really matter because it's all for fun.
All right, so in an effort to keep our hands from getting really gluey and then all of the yarn really gluey, we're gonna measure out all the rest of the yarn we need before we continue. Good idea?
I don't know. We'll see. We're going to try it anyway.
We're coming up with ideas as we go.
New show rule.
Yes,
No
stop
more
talking.
all-purpose glue projects. Hot glue, glue sticks.
Oh, come on, Zach. It's fun when we fail.
I'm having flashbacks to the mason jars and leaves.
That was Mod Podge.
Podge.
Yep.
I could.
Fighting a losing battle. You know what? The project's not done yet, right?
Yeah, no, the project's not done yet.
We have faith in our ability to do a project.
And I have several days to. You don't know what I'm going to be doing here over the weekend.
Yeah, she might have to
before we
fix them
finish
all.
this project.
So far, the thing that I do like the best, though, is tying them onto the balloon.
Yeah, tying
ahead
it
of
onto
time.
the balloon ahead of time.
So here we go, round 2. Let's see what happens. And the reason it's a do-it-yourself project is because you're testing your ability on a whole bunch of levels. Staying positive is one of them.
And not throwing it across the room. So I feel like if you dip it and then you really like wring it out before you put it on the balloon, you know, like strip it like that to get as much of the glue off of it.
All right, I am on my last one. I'm just kind of putting a bunch of string in as we go, and then wrapping it. And once you actually figure it out, it doesn't take that long. So it's not as awful of a project as we thought in the very beginning.
Zack thinks it is.
You just have to get used to it.
My technique that I have come up with is unroll that string first of all, the yarn, and same as you, get it all in here. But what I was doing was taking the string all out of here before I roll it, because I feel like I can get a lot of this glue off. It's still saturated in glue. I'm just pushing a lot of it off before I wind it. And then I'm winding it, holding it in my hand the whole time, not trying to take glue off while I'm winding it. All right, finished with the very last one. Let's hang it up. We have to let these dry for 48 hours before we pop the balloons, but I think what we have to do first is clean up. Well, our yarn globes have sat all weekend and are really dry now and ready to go on to the next step.
I am really confused because if you look at mine, these look exactly like what we left with.
I warned
you. If you look at Marie's,
I told you when we were doing them that we needed way more yarn. Zack wasn't having it. He didn't feel like it would have taken us 4 hours to do the project.
So what'd you do all weekend?
So all weekend, I took a couple times and I put that length of yarn, I put on again, and then one more time. So mine have 3 times the amount of yarn as yours, and I really think that it needs it. Do you not agree?
No, they definitely, yours looks so cool and mine looks so sad.
Wimpy. So what we're gonna do is you brought more glue and we're gonna fix those at some other point in time, but we're gonna put mine together now.
Sure, let's put yours together.
You can help me put mine together and then I will help you finish yours sometime in the future.
All right, so we have to pop these little buggers.
Yes, we're gonna pop the balloons and hopefully our Vaseline works to get them out.
Ooh, that's all right.
And if not, then you can just pull it this way and trim it with your scissors if you can't get it all the way out around the top. It's kind of like surgery.
I don't know about that, but they are looking kind of cool.
They come out pretty easy, so that Vaseline did work.
Yeah, so that's an important step not to forget.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that is interesting, because there's so much yarn on these, you have to use the tweezers to find a place to pull the balloon out of.
Yep. Now I have my trusty wreath wire. You can use this for so many projects, and we have.
That's right.
So now we're going to use that to attach these to the string of lights that we got.
So we've cut them in about 3-inch pieces.
Yep. We figured out our pattern. We're going to go red, white, blue, red, white, blue, red, white, blue. We're getting closer together.
Yes, we are. Question now is, Marie, where are you putting this?
I am putting this on, remember we used barn board for that project last month?
I do.
I have a big piece of barn board mounted in my living room and it has old-fashioned nails on it. Perfect to hold something like this.
Oh,
So
that sounds awesome.
We're gonna go see what that looks like.
You ready?
Yep.
All right, let's do it. Aw, success.
Nice.
Yeah.
Pretty. All right.
All right.
Happy Memorial Day.
On this show, we like to occasionally do something nice for our producer, director, cameraman, and do-it-all guy, Zack.
There he is with Larry the alpaca. I remember that segment.
It was a lot of fun. Well, you may remember last year we dug up some pachysandra from my home and planted it on the hillside in front of Zack's house.
Well, Zack promised he would basically ignore it for as long as possible and see if it continued to grow.
Well, good news, the pachysandra survived the year and seems to be doing well. So we decided to try something else, something all of you can try as well.
So we are back on the other side of Zack's house. The pachysandra are way over there. And today we've got another project to add color.
That's right, lots of color. Zack does so much for us. And I know that, Zack, you realize that. We want to do something special for you. He doesn't have Marie's green thumb, so we're going to plant something for him today. Summer bulbs.
So what we're going to plant today is we're going to start with 100 iris, pretty purples and yellows and whites. And these bulbs go 4 inches apart and 4 inches deep. So we're going to do this little section here and we'll dig a trench and lay these out. What do you have, something bigger?
These are bigger. I have dahlias, and these are, there's only 10 of them because they're much bigger. And they have to be 20 inches apart and 5 inches deep. So we'll put these behind those. We'll just space it around.
Good idea.
Zack will love all the color. Marie, I'm going to start digging the trench, and how about you come behind and just space all of our bulbs out properly?
Sounds good.
You know, there aren't a lot of jobs where you get paid to watch other people do it. I'm one of the luckiest people.
You remember that next time we do a craft that involves glue.
And I'm trying to figure out how exactly far, because these were like 20 inches. So that's probably
in here?
Yeah, is where we need to go.
Yeah, it's probably easier for me to dig back further for them.
I know you guys don't forget that for every one time you go digging in my yard, I'm at 3 or 4 fashion shows.
Very true.
We don't forget. Interesting roots.
Those are actually all different bulbs. They're like masses of bulbs, more than one. That one has 3. But you can see like the root systems. You can see some little sprouts coming up too.
Awesome. They're going to be so pretty.
Josie! So when I'm out walking Josie in the coming days, my neighbors will be asking me, who are those 2 young ladies you had?
Working in your yard.
Laboring for you.
If I remember correctly, the same people asked when we did the pachysandra.
Yep. Looks like you did an excellent job rationing them.
Yep.
You guys are hitting the mark.
Hey, like we know how to handle manual labor. All right, success. All the bulbs in. Now all we have to do is cover them back up.
Cover it all up.
Let me know if you need me to get more dirt somewhere, Ree.
Nope, we're good. All right, the bulbs are all covered up and padded in. We hope that they're going to grow.
Yep, now Zack can water them or just wait for some rain and all will be good.
Yep.
And Zack, you're going to earn so many points with Kate. She's going to be so impressed.
She'll see the show. She'll know we did it.
It'll be good for at least a couple days.
Keep her away from the TV. If you haven't been to a library in a while, you may think it's still just about books, newspapers, and magazines. My favorite thing as a kid was story time.
But libraries have evolved, and they had to keep up with the times.
A lot of people will be surprised, I think, because the perception of the library is that it's a great big box full of books. And essentially, what libraries are about is information, and in whatever form it comes in. So that now has branched out into various types of technologies.
Well, absolutely, the library wants to be as useful as possible to its community. So as the world has moved more and more to digital and technology, we want to be right there with people and help them gain access to the resources that can help them best succeed.
We visited the Eastern Monroe Public Library's main branch, the Hughes Library, on North 9th Street in Stroudsburg. They, like many libraries nowadays, offer free introductory technology classes.
We have monthly classes on different software and databases that the library offers, and some of them use some of the tech that we've managed to buy to make available to patrons, like notebook computers and Kindle devices. So our classes are introductory to either the software or devices to give people a good head start either in building skills that will help them in careers or just generally being better information literate citizens.
Many parents introduce their young children to the library with story time. Picture books keep their attention. But the library targets teens, too, by getting them involved in a teen advisory board to help plan their own programs.
Recently we did an escape room, variation on an escape room, and it had a Harry Potter theme. We've done another escape room that went over really well, so we're planning on doing yet another one this summer, so that's something to bring people in. In general, the summer reading program is a great way to get teens involved, and the summer reading program here at the library is for all ages. We have different levels. We have children, teens, adults, and with the teens, we'll have two different programs this summer. One is going to be making a musical instrument. It's called a thumb piano or a kalimba. They'll be able to create their own, decorate it, and take it home with them. And then the second is going to be an escape program. It's a great cycle. You read, you get prizes, you get more books to read, you get more prizes, etc., etc.
Sounds good.
Yes.
It keeps people reading.
Yes.
The local history room is another popular place at the library. The room contains an abundance of information from Monroe and the surrounding counties and is especially important to people researching their family tree.
A lot of what's in here is one of a kind, or there's very few copies out there. A lot of it is written by local people. We do get quite a bit of use out of this, not only from people locally, but we get requests nationally and internationally for people doing not only history, but genealogy, family histories, things like that.
Book clubs can make reading a more social activity. The Eastern Public Library has them at all the branches.
And they're all very popular. We get anywhere from 5 to 15 people out for a particular meeting. So if anybody's interested in reading with other people, because that tends to motivate people to get them reading, the book club is a really good idea for that.
Because you think they say, oh my goodness, my meeting's Monday and I have to get my book done?
Yeah. It keeps them motivated. And a lot of people at the beginning of the year, they set goals for themselves. A lot of people do the gym, a lot of people do diets, and a lot of people set reading goals.
A library on wheels is still a necessity for the more rural areas.
The bookmobile is nice. People think of that as a throwback, but that's really still an essential service. There's still, believe it or not, areas that are unserved or underserved by the libraries because we simply can't afford to have buildings everywhere. So they go out to different areas, especially daycares and senior citizens housing and various communities.
All these things can probably be found at your local public library too. The Eastern Monroe Public Library has smaller facilities, the Pocono Township branch and the Smithfield branch.
Well, not everybody can get to the library here, and if we have libraries out into the communities where the people live, then it's a lot more convenient for them to stop in and pick up their materials. Of course, the big library, the Hughes branch, has a much bigger collection. So if we want something from here, we just ship it right over to them and they can pick it up over at the branch.
The Hughes Library recently underwent an expansion that brings even more valuable services to the people in its communities.
The donation and the expansion allowed us to add this periodical section, the comfortable reading area. We have 4 study rooms across the back for students that have to do quiet work on their own. We've added meeting space to what we had before, and it's all been working out very nicely for the patrons. The other really big change is these 2 rooms right here. They're for test proctoring because there's been an increase in recent years, people taking online courses and needing to take the remote tests that have to be proctored.
The most interesting addition has to be the Library Cafe, tucked in the corner of the Hughes Library.
It brings in people who want to like read a book and have a cup of coffee or hot chocolate. A kid could have a cookie or a Krispy Kreme donut.
The Library Cafe offers delicious coffee for as little as $1.50 a cup. The first of its kind in Monroe County, it opened in December of last year and is sponsored by Fitzmaurice Community Services. The cafe is staffed by people with disabilities who have a desire to work and seek inclusion and productivity in their community.
It's an opportunity for the individuals with disabilities to feel part of the community, but it also lets the community see their abilities, not their disabilities.
Today we are going to, I'm going to demonstrate how we brew our coffees here, our beans here. So here I have a classic salted caramel coffee bag.
Yes, what are we going to do with that?
We're going to grind the beans.
Grind the beans, show me how.
All right, click start.
They're teaching me a lot. They've taught me how to use the cash register. They've taught me how to bake. They're making the coffees. They're counting the money. They're cleaning up. They're providing wonderful customer service.
And now for the next step, we're going to brew our coffee. According to our sign here, it looks like we're going to make a half batch because the glowing light here is on the half sign, and we want to press our brew A. Now notice it says now brewing for 2.5 minutes. So once that happens, then we're going to have a dripping effect afterwards, and it'll let us know when it's done dripping. But there's a little caution. Even after the time's up for the dripping, it doesn't mean the dripping is going to stop because it's still going to be dripping.
So you have to pay attention to it.
And
Take a look.
And the more that brews out, the more coffee we have, the more customers we can serve.
Very true.
While we're waiting for that coffee to brew, we're going to make one of my favorites. Those look like chocolate chip cookies, right?
Yes, they are.
What do we have to do to get them started?
Well, they're pretty much already made. We get them in from David's Cookies.
Ooh.
And we set the oven to 325 degrees.
Okay.
And we just need to set each one out individually.
Okay, wait, there's a couple extra chocolate chips in here. I hate to see them go to waste. Can we just put them right on?
If you want to.
Extra chocolate chip, why not?
We just leave them in the oven for about 10 minutes and 30 seconds.
And we have your house blend, we have your decaf, and we have your flavored.
Well, I'm going to have to try what we just made.
Yes.
Sure.
We're getting a positive feedback. Everyone is really enjoying the guys, and the guys are providing amazing service for the community. And we have our regulars come in and joke around and say, I want my normal, and they know the guys' names, and our customers are very happy.
And now comes the part where I serve you a Corey Special, the peppermint hot chocolate.
Why, thank you. I'm looking forward to my Corey Special. Smells very pepperminty and chocolate. Perfect.
So we want to make sure we're clean and hygienic and making sure our customers are happy and they're in a healthy environment and making them feel at home.
Visit your public library. It's the talk of the town. Rolled away.
Don't worry, Zach's not grabbing it for you. He's not. He helps to an extent.
Yeah, he's not helping at all. He's like, nope, you're on your own.